What if the most powerful man in the world was also the wisest? What if at the height of his power, commanding legions and ruling over a quarter of the Earth's population, his single greatest battle was the one he fought every morning inside his own mind? And what if he left behind his personal playbook for that battle, a private journal so raw, so honest, and so powerful that it has been the secret weapon of kings, presidents, artists, and elite performers for 2,000 years? Imagine having access to the private thoughts of an emperor, not his public speeches, but the words he wrote for himself, by candlelight, in the cold of the battlefield. The words that gave him the strength to face betrayal, plague, and constant war. The words that taught him how to turn chaos into calm, fear into courage, and anger into action. This isn't a history lesson. This is an intervention. Because the same chaos he faced on the frontiers of the Roman Empire is the chaos you feel every time you look at your phone. It's the same battles for focus, for purpose, for tranquility. They are the battles you fight every single day. And for centuries, the operating manual for winning these battles has been hidden in plain sight, mistaken for a dusty philosophy book. Today, we pull it from the shelf, blow off the dust, and decode it for the modern world. Today, you get the Emperor's Playbook. The man was Marcus Aurelius, and this is his Meditations. But this is not a book review. This is a masterclass in mental engineering. We are about to dissect the personal diary of a Roman emperor and discover that it's not a collection of old thoughts, but a timeless system for building an unbreakable mind. This book is the key. The key to unshackling yourself from the anxiety, the distraction, and the reactivity of modern life. It is the antidote to the noise. Over the next 2 hours, you will be given a set of mental tools that have been tested on the battlefield, the boardroom, and in the deepest trenches of the human soul. I am promising you a transformation. If you stay with me, if you truly engage with these ideas, you will not leave this experience as the same person who started it. You'll walk away with a new framework for reality, a new source of inner strength that no one can ever take from you. In the next hour, we are not just going to read a book. We are going to deconstruct the very operating system running your life and install a new one. Let's begin the upgrade. This journey is a structured ascent, a climb towards a new perspective on your life. We will move through the Emperor's private thoughts in 12 stages, 12 levels of mastery. In Book 1, we will learn how to build our own personal board of directors, reverse engineering the virtues of our greatest mentors. In Book 2, we will confront our own mortality, not with fear, but as the ultimate tool for a life of purpose. In Book 3, we will discover the commander of our mind, our ruling faculty, and learn to direct its power with precision. In Book 4, we will construct an inner citadel, a mental fortress of calm that no external event can ever breach. In Book 5, we will find the motivation to get out of bed every morning and act in service of a greater good. In Book 6, we will embrace the universal nature of change, understanding that everything flows, and find peace within that current. In Book 7, we will master the art of dealing with difficult people, not by changing them, but by changing our perception of them. In Book 8, we will learn to tame the destructive fire of anger and cultivate a profound sense of humility and joy. In Book 9, we will explore the supreme virtue of justice and the power of acting rightly, without any need for reward or recognition. In Book 10, we will learn to genuinely accept what is, finding a deep and unshakable contentment with reality as it unfolds. In Book 11, we will review the core principles, assembling a complete toolkit for the rational soul. And in Book 12, we will cement this new philosophy, preparing to live a life of consistency, purpose, and grace until the very end. Let's go on a journey, one chapter at a time. Book 1. Who built you? Seriously, take a moment and think about it. Who are the people whose lessons, whose character, whose very way of being have been absorbed into the person you are today? Most of us move through life collecting influences by accident. We are shaped by parents, by teachers, by bosses, by friends. But are you consciously choosing who you learn from? Are you actively curating the virtues you want to install in your own operating system? This is where the Emperor begins, not with some grand philosophical statement, but with gratitude. Book 1 of Meditations is a remarkable and deeply personal list of debts. Marcus Aurelius goes through every significant person in his life, from his grandfather to his mother. From his tutors to the emperor who adopted him, he identifies the specific, singular virtue he learned from each of them. This isn't just a thank you note. This is a reverse engineering of greatness, he says. From my grandfather Verus, I learned good morals and the government of my temper. From his mother, piety and beneficence and abstinence, not only from evil deeds, but even from evil thoughts. From his tutor Diognetus, he learned to avoid trivialities and to endure labor. From Rusticus, he learned to correct his own character. He isn't just saying thanks, he's creating a mental catalog of excellence. He is building a personal board of directors inside his own head. When faced with a difficult situation, he doesn't have to ask, "What should I do?" He can ask, "What would my mother's piety guide me to do here? What would Rusticus's self-discipline demand of me?" He has a council of mentors available to him at all times, because he took the time to define what made them great and to internalize those qualities. This is the real-world bridge for you. Your life is not the Roman court, but it is just as complex. You're bombarded with opinions, with advice, with the highlight reels of a million different lives on social media. Who are your chosen influences in this chaos? Most people passively consume, but you can be an active architect of your own character. You can build your own council. Think of the people you admire. If it's a historical figure, a business leader, an author, or a family member, don't just admire them vaguely. Isolate the specific, actionable virtue. Is it their resilience in the face of failure? Is it their unwavering integrity? Is it their ability to listen without judgment? Is it their disciplined focus on a single craft? This is your activation step. Right now, or as soon as this video is over, take out a piece of paper or open a new note. Write down the names of 3 people who have positively influenced you. It can be living or dead, people you know or people you have only read about. Next to each name, don't write what they did. Write the specific character trait you learned from them or wish to emulate. From my father, I learned patience. From a former boss, I learned how to give direct and honest feedback. From the author I just read, I learned the power of concise language. This simple act transforms you from a passive observer into an active student of virtue. You are no longer just a product of your environment. You are the curator of your own character. This is the foundation upon which your new mental operating system will be built. You are creating your own internal mentors. And now that we have built our foundation on the shoulders of giants, it's time to turn inward. It's time to face the one truth we all try to ignore, the one reality that puts all our other anxieties into perspective. To truly learn how to live, we must first learn how to think about our own end. Book 2. What if I told you the single greatest hack for productivity, for focus, and for happiness is to remember every single day that you are going to die? This sounds morbid. It sounds counterintuitive. Our entire culture is built on avoiding this thought. We pursue youth. We distract ourselves with endless entertainment. We plan for a future as if it's guaranteed. But Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics before him knew a profound secret. Memento mori. Remember, you must die. This isn't a threat. It is a tool. In Book 2, Marcus gets brutally honest with himself. He writes, "Soon you will have forgotten all things, and soon all things will have forgotten you." Reflects on the emperors and orators who came before him. Where are they now? Alexander the Great and his mule driver, he says, were leveled by the same fate. They were either received back into the universal intelligence or scattered into atoms. All the fame, all the power, all the worry, all the drama gone, reduced to a footnote in a history book, if that. This concept is called the view from above. It's a mental exercise. Imagine yourself floating up out of your room, above your city, above your country, until you can see the entire spinning globe. Then zoom out further, past the planets, past the sun, into the silent black expanse of the galaxy. See the Milky Way as a swirl of dust? And now, from this vantage point, try to locate your problems. Try to find your argument with a coworker. Your anxiety about next week's presentation, your anger at the person who cut you in line, they vanish, become laughably, beautifully insignificant. This is the power of perspective. Marcus used it to ground himself. He felt the pull of ego, of fame, of wanting to be remembered. He reminded himself of the vastness of time and space. He writes, The whole earth is a point, and how small a nook in it is this, thy dwelling place. All our striving for likes, for promotions, for social status, it's like ants, fighting over a crumb on a speck of dust floating in an infinite void. This is the real-world bridge. How much of your daily mental energy is consumed by things that, in the grand scheme, do not matter? The fear of what others think of you, the sting of a minor insult, the desperate need for approval. These are the ghosts that haunt the modern mind. Memento mori is the exorcism. When you remember that your time is finite, it creates a powerful sense of urgency and clarity. Suddenly, you don't have time for petty drama. You don't have time to waste on things that don't align with your values. You don't have time to procrastinate on what truly matters to you. As Steve Jobs said in his famous Stanford address, remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Here is your activation step for today. It's a simple thought experiment. The next time you feel overwhelmed by stress, anxiety, or anger, perform the view from above. Close your eyes for 60 seconds. Float up. See the earth. See the galaxy. See the infinite blackness. Then, from that cosmic perspective, look back at your problem. Ask yourself, will this matter in a year? In 10 years, on my deathbed? The answer, almost always, is no. In that moment of clarity, you will find a profound sense of peace and the freedom to focus on what truly does matter. We've faced our mortality, and in doing so, we've unlocked a new sense of perspective and urgency. But a sense of urgency without direction is just headless panic. So how do we direct this newfound energy? How do we ensure our actions are wise, purposeful, and aligned with our nature? The next book introduces us to the commander of our inner world, the CEO of our soul. Book 3. Look at your hand. You can decide to clench it into a fist or open it into a palm. You just made a choice. Now think about your mind. Do you believe you have that same level of control over your thoughts, your judgments, and your reactions? Marcus Aurelius would argue that not only do you have that control, but exercising it is the single most important task of your life. He calls this power your hegemonic, your ruling faculty, your inner commander. In Book 3, Marcus turns his attention to the headquarters of the self. He says, "No man can rob us of our free will." He constantly reminds himself to focus only on what is within his control. He cannot control the economy. He cannot control a coming storm. He cannot control if someone is rude to him. But he has absolute 100% control over his response to those things. This is the fundamental distinction that changes everything. He writes, "Your task is to stand straight, not to be held straight." Think about that. How often are you propped up by external validation? A compliment, a successful project, a positive comment online? And how quickly do you crumble when those props are removed? Marcus is saying that true strength, true straightness, comes from within. It is generated by your own ruling faculty, independent of outside circumstances. The core concept here is that your mind is not a passive receptacle for experiences. It is an active forge. Events happen. They are the raw but it is your ruling faculty, your mind, that decides what to make of that, or it can forge it into a weapon of anger and resentment, or it can forge it into a tool of learning and resilience. The event itself is neutral. Your judgment about the event is what gives it power. As he says elsewhere, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. The real-world bridge is everywhere in your life. You get an email from your boss with curt feedback, the external event is just text on a screen. Your ruling faculty has a choice. Choice A. My boss hates me. I'm going to get fired. I'm a failure. This leads to anxiety, defensiveness, and poor performance. Choice B. Okay, the feedback is direct. There's a lesson here. How can I use this to improve? What is the objective information, separate from my emotional reaction? This leads to growth, composure, and better results. Same event, two completely different worlds, created entirely by your choice. This is not about suppressing emotion. It's about questioning the automatic judgments that create the emotion. The panic isn't caused by the email. It's caused by the story you tell yourself about the email. Your ruling faculty is the storyteller. You are the director of your own inner movie. So here's your activation step. For the next 24 hours, practice becoming the observer of your own mind. When you feel a strong negative emotion, anger, frustration, anxiety, hit the pause button. Before you react, ask your ruling faculty this one question. What story am I telling myself about this event? Separate the objective fact from your subjective judgment. The fact someone cut me off in traffic is the judgment. That person is a disrespectful jerk who deliberately tried to endanger me and ruin my day. By simply noticing the gap between fact and story, you reclaim your power. You give your ruling faculty a moment to choose a better story, a more rational response. We have identified the commander of our inner world. We have learned to question its automatic judgments. Now, where does this commander live? How do we protect it from the chaos of the outside world? Marcus gives us the blueprint for our own mental fortress. Book 4. Imagine a fortress. High stone walls, a deep moat, a single heavily guarded gate. It's a place of absolute safety and security. When the world outside is in chaos, when armies are clashing, when storms are raging, the inhabitants of the fortress are safe, calm, and in control. Now, what if you could build a fortress like that, not of stone and mortar, but inside your own mind? A place you could retreat to at any moment, no matter what is happening around you, and find perfect tranquility. This is what Marcus Aurelius calls the inner citadel. In Book 4, he writes one of the most powerful passages in all of philosophy. Men seek retreats for themselves, houses in the country, by the seashore, or in the mountains. But this is an indication of the most common sort of man, for it is in your power whenever you choose to retire into yourself. For nowhere, either with more quiet or more freedom from trouble, does a man retire than into his own soul. This is a revolutionary idea. We spend so much of our lives and our money seeking peace from the outside. We think, if I can just get that vacation, that new house, that promotion, then I'll feel calm, then I'll be happy. Marcus is telling us this is a fundamental error. You are carrying the source of all tranquility within you right now. You just haven't learned how to access it. The inner citadel is not a place of escapism. It's not about ignoring the world's problems. It's a place of strategic retreat. It's your command center. You retreat inward to reconnect with your principles, to consult with your ruling faculty, to wash off the mud and grime of external events so you can re-engage with the world from a position of strength, not reactivity. He says you can wipe away all vexation and be at once in perfect peace. The real-world bridge here is your daily life. The phone buzzes with a stressful notification. The news cycle screams with negativity. A project at work goes sideways. Your automatic reaction is to tense up, to let the external chaos become internal chaos. Your heart rate rises, your mind races. You have allowed the enemy to breach the gates. Building your inner citadel means creating a deliberate practice of turning inward. It's recognizing that the event itself, the notification, the news story, has no inherent power to disturb your peace. The disturbance happens when you consent to it, when you allow your mind to be colonized by external drama. The citadel is the practice of withholding that consent. Here is your activation step. This is not a one-time action, but the beginning of a lifelong habit. Schedule 2 minutes in your calendar, just 2 minutes, once a day. During that time, do nothing but retreat into your citadel. Sit quietly, close your eyes, focus on your breath, and bring to mind one simple, grounding, Stoic truth. Something like, I control my thoughts, not external events, or the obstacle is the way, or this too shall pass. Don't try to empty your mind. Just gently redirect it to that single, powerful principle. Think of it as reinforcing the walls of your fortress. 2 minutes a day. That's it. You are not running from the world. You are sharpening your sword before you go back into battle. You are building a sanctuary of sanity in a world that is constantly trying to drive you mad. We've built our fortress of calm. We have a safe place to retreat and regroup, but a fortress is defensive. A life of purpose requires us to march out of the gates and act. So how do we find the motivation to do that, especially on the days when all we want to do is stay inside? The Emperor has an answer for that too. Book 5. It's early morning. The alarm goes off. It's dark. It's cold. And the warmth of your bed feels like the only good thing in the universe. Your mind starts to bargain. Just 5 more minutes. What's the point? it's all meaningless anyway. Every single one of us has fought this battle. And 2,000 years ago, the most powerful man in the world was fighting the exact same one. In Book 5, Marcus gives himself a direct, no-nonsense pep talk. He writes, "In the morning, when you struggle to rise, let this thought be present. I am rising to the work of a human being. Why then am I dissatisfied, if I am going to do the things for which I exist and for which I was brought into the world?" This is a profound shift in the source of motivation. He isn't talking about chasing success or money or fame. He is talking about duty. He is talking about purpose. He asks himself, were you made for pleasure, to be coddled and comfortable? Look at the plants, the birds, the ants, the spiders, and the bees. They are all doing their own work, fulfilling their part in the order of the universe. And you, a human being with the gift of reason, you refuse to do your work. The core concept is that we have a nature, a function. Just as a bee's function is to make honey and a vine's function is to produce grapes, a human's function is to use reason to act virtuously and contribute to the common good. This is our work. It's not just your job title. It's your role as a parent, as a friend, as a citizen, as a member of the human community. Getting out of bed is not about earning a paycheck. It is about answering the call to fulfill your nature. He says we must love the art we have learned. Whatever your craft is, whether you are a writer, a coder, a carpenter, a teacher, or a caregiver, you must find the purpose within the action itself. The goal is not the external reward. The goal is to perform the action well, with virtue for its own sake. To do a good day's work, not because of what it will get you, but because that is what you were made to do. The real-world bridge is that feeling of aimlessness that so many of us experience. We chase goals set by society, the nice car, the big house, the impressive job title, and when we get them, we feel empty. Why? Because we've been focused on the external rewards, not the internal purpose. Marcus's philosophy flips the script. Your purpose is not out there to be found. It is in here, in the way you choose to perform every single action. You can wash the dishes with resentment, or you can wash them with presence and a sense of contributing to the order of your home. The action is the same. The purpose is transformed. This is your activation step. Tomorrow morning, when your alarm goes off and your mind begins its negotiation, have the Emperor's words ready. Ask yourself, am I rising to the work of a human being? Reframe your day. Your first meeting isn't a chore. It's an opportunity to practice clear communication and collaboration. Making breakfast for your kids isn't a task. It's an opportunity to practice nurture and love. Your workout isn't a punishment. It's an opportunity to care for the body you've been given. Find the work of a human being in the small, everyday actions of your life. This is the source of a motivation that never runs out. We now have our motivation. We are ready to act with purpose. But the world we act upon is not static. It is a swirling, chaotic, ever-changing river. How do we act effectively in a world where the only constant is change? The next book provides the answer. Book 6. Think about the person you were 10 years ago. Your beliefs, your goals, your cells, your very atoms. Are you the same person? Of course not. Now think about the world around you. The technology, the political landscape, the culture. It's in constant, relentless flux. We tend to see this change as a source of anxiety. We crave stability. We want things to stay the same. Marcus Aurelius tells us this is not only impossible, it's a fight against the very nature of the universe. In Book 6, he dives deep into the concept of universal change. He uses the powerful analogy of a river. Time is like a river made up of the events which happen in a violent stream. For as soon as a thing has been seen, it is carried away, and another comes in its place, and this will be carried away too. You cannot step in the same river twice. You cannot live in the same world twice. He asks us to see the beauty and necessity in this process. Is any man afraid of change? Why? What can take place without change? What is more pleasing or more familiar to the nature of the universe? He points out that your bath water must be changed by the wood burning beneath it. Your food must be changed to nourish you. Nothing useful can happen without transformation. Therefore, he concludes, change is not just inevitable, it is good. It is the engine of creation and existence. The core concept here is to shift your perspective from resisting change to embracing it as a fundamental feature of reality, he says. Constantly consider how all things which exist are changing into something else. A seed changes into a sapling, which changes into a tree, which changes into lumber, which changes into a table, which will one day change into dust. This is not a tragedy. This is the cycle of nature. Your own life, your career, your relationships, they are all part of this same cosmic flow. The real-world bridge is how we react to unexpected events. You get laid off from a job you thought was secure, relationship ends, a project you poured your heart into gets canceled. The instinct is to mourn the loss of stability, to see it as a failure. The Stoic perspective, the view from Marcus, is to see it as the river flowing. This chapter of your life has been carried away. A new one is arriving. This isn't a passive acceptance of fate. It is an active partnership with reality, because when you stop fighting the current, you can finally learn to steer. When you lose your job, you can see it as an end, or you can see it as a necessary change that opens the door to a new career you never would have considered. When a relationship ends, you can see it as a failure, or as the natural conclusion of a chapter that allows both people to grow in new directions. What's about seeing the what's next in every what was? Here is your activation step. Identify one area of your life where you are currently resisting change. Maybe you're clinging to an old identity, a past success, or a comfortable routine that no longer serves you. Take a moment and actively reframe it using Marcus's logic. Write it down. I am not being pushed out of my comfort zone. I am flowing into a new part of the river. This change is not a threat. It is a transformation. What is the universe trying to make of me next? By consciously applying this new lens, you begin to dissolve the fear and anxiety associated with change and replace it with curiosity and anticipation. We've learned to flow with the river of change. But that river is not empty. It's full of other people. And sometimes those people are rocks and whirlpools that disrupt our flow. How do we navigate the most difficult part of the human experience? Other humans? Marcus dedicates a huge amount of his thought to this very problem. Book 7. Think about the last person who truly frustrated you. The coworker who took credit for your work. The family member who constantly criticizes you. The stranger who was inexplicably rude. What was your immediate gut reaction? Anger, resentment, desire for justice, or maybe even revenge? This is the default human response. And according to Marcus Aurelius, it is a profound waste of your energy and a poison to your soul. Book 7 is a masterclass in emotional alchemy. It is about taking the raw, negative energy generated by other people's actions and transforming it into something useful, understanding, patience, and personal growth. He starts with a radical premise. When a man has done you any wrong, immediately consider with what opinion about good or evil he has done wrong. For when you have seen this, you will pity him and will neither wonder nor be angry. This is a game changer. He is saying that people do not do wrong things because they are evil. They do wrong things because they are mistaken. They have a flawed understanding of what is good and what is bad. The person who lies to get ahead genuinely believes, in that moment, that personal gain is the highest good. The person who insults you believes that protecting their fragile ego is the highest good. They are ignorant of the true good, which for a Stoic is virtue, justice, and reason. When you see it this way, anger becomes illogical. You don't get angry at a person for having a fever or for being nearsighted. You see them as afflicted, as needing help or at least understanding. Marcus says you should see people who act badly in the same way. They are suffering from a kind of moral blindness. Your job is not to rage at their blindness, but to maintain your own sight. He gives us a powerful tool. The obstacle is the way. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. A difficult person is not a roadblock to your practice of virtue. They are the perfect opportunity to practice it. The rude stranger is a chance to practice patience. The unfair boss is a chance to practice integrity. Betraying friend is a chance to practice resilience and forgiveness. They're not ruining your day. They are your sparring partners in the gymnasium of life, helping you build your moral muscles. The real-world bridge is immediate and constant. Every interaction that annoys you is a pop quiz from the universe. Can you apply your principles? Can you remember that their actions stem from ignorance, not malice? Can you separate the event, what they did, from your judgment, your story of being wronged? Can you see this obstacle not as a frustration, but as a curriculum designed specifically for your growth? Here is your activation step. The very next time someone says or does something that triggers your anger or frustration, perform a mental pattern interrupt. Before you react, silently say to yourself these 3 things. 1. They are acting from their own understanding of the world, which is flawed. 2. Their actions cannot harm my inner self, my ruling faculty, unless I allow it. 3. This is an opportunity to practice patience, forgiveness, understanding. You don't have to say it out loud. You don't have to condone their behavior. You are simply refusing to let their ignorance poison your tranquility. You are using the obstacle as the fuel for your own fire. We've learned to deal with the external world and the people in it. But what about the most dangerous enemy of all? The one that lives inside us? The destructive, blinding force of our own rage. The next book is a direct confrontation with the emotion that Marcus believed was the most corrosive to a good life. Book 8. What does anger feel like in your body? A fire in your chest, clenching in your jaw, a narrowing of your vision until the only thing you can see is the object of your rage. It feels powerful. It feels justified. And Marcus Aurelius would tell you it is the ultimate illusion. It is a sign not of strength but of weakness. It is a temporary madness that costs you far more than whatever offense caused it. In Book 8, Marcus turns the full force of his reason against the passion of anger. He reminds himself how much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it. Think about that. Someone says an unkind word to you. The cause is a fleeting vibration in the air. The consequence of your anger can be a ruined day, a damaged relationship, a decision made in rage that you regret for years. The punishment you inflict on yourself is almost always greater than the original crime. He attacks anger from every angle. He calls it unmanly. True strength, he argues, is found in gentleness, calmness, and reason. The person who does not give way to anger has strength, nerve, and courage. The angry person is just a wounded animal, lashing out. He also points out the sheer foolishness of it. You are angry at a person for their flaws, but you have flaws too. You are just as much of a rogue as they are, he tells himself bluntly. It is the height of hypocrisy to be enraged by the splinter in your brother's eye when you have a log in your own. The core concept is to reframe anger not as a righteous force, but as a self-inflicted poison. It clouds your judgment, it severs you from your own ruling faculty, and it hands control of your inner state over to someone else. The moment you become angry, the person who offended you wins. They have successfully disturbed your peace. They have occupied your mind, rent-free. The real-world bridge is in every moment of frustration, from rush hour traffic to political disagreements. We often feel that our anger is a tool. We think it will motivate others to change or demonstrate the seriousness of our position. But what does it actually do? It shuts down communication. It escalates conflict. It makes us miserable. It is a terribly ineffective strategy for navigating the world. Marcus offers an alternative: humility and kindness. He reminds himself that we are all in this together, flawed human beings trying to find our way. He says the best way of revenge is not to be like him who has done the injury. Your ultimate victory is not to shout louder or to inflict a wound in return. Your ultimate victory is to remain calm, rational, and virtuous, while they are lost in the fog of their own anger. That is true power. Here's your activation step. It's an anger audit. The next time you feel that fire rising, pause. Instead of focusing on the person or event that caused it, turn your focus inward. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Is my anger making this situation better or worse? 2. What is this anger costing me in terms of my own peace and clarity? 3. What would be the strong, virtuous response right now, rather than the easy, reactive one? This audit short-circuits the rage response and re-engages your ruling faculty. It transforms a moment of weakness into a moment of strength. We have tamed the inner beast of anger. We are learning to act with calm reason. But what should be the guiding principle of those actions? What is the supreme virtue that should inform everything we do? For Marcus, the answer was clear and simple. Book 9. Why do you do good things? Be honest. Is it for the recognition, for the praise, for the feeling of being a good person? Do you post your charitable donation on social media? You hope your boss notices you staying late? There is an undercurrent in our society that good deeds need an audience. Marcus Aurelius presents a radical and liberating alternative. In Book 9, he drills down on the idea of acting virtuously for its own sake. He gives a beautiful analogy. Does the eye demand a reward for seeing or the feet for walking? Just as they were made for this, and when they have done what they were made for, they have their reward. So a man, when he has done a good act, there should be no third thing required. He should not be looking for a witness or for a reward. The core concept is that virtue is its own reward. The act of doing the right thing is the prize. Justice for Marcus was the source of all other virtues. And justice means acting for the common good, in accordance with nature, without any thought of personal gain. A grapevine produces grapes and asks for nothing more. A bee produces honey and asks for nothing more. A good person does a good deed and asks for nothing more. They have fulfilled their function. That is the payment. This is a revolutionary idea because it frees you from the tyranny of external validation. If you do something kind only to get a thank you, your happiness is now dependent on someone else's manners. If you work hard only to get a promotion, your satisfaction is dependent on your boss's opinion. You have made yourself a slave to the reactions of others. But if you act rightly because it is the right thing to do, your reward is immediate and entirely within your control.
Nice.
You get the satisfaction of knowing you aligned your actions with your own highest principles. No one can ever take that away from you. The real-world bridge is powerful. Think about the anxiety of posting something online and then compulsively checking for likes. Think about the resentment that builds when you feel your efforts at work or in a relationship go unnoticed. All of this suffering comes from seeking a third thing, a reward external to the action itself. The Stoic approach is to find the reward in the action. The reward for writing is the act of clarifying your thoughts. The reward for exercising is the act of caring for your body. The reward for helping a colleague is the act of strengthening your community. The reward for being honest is the act of living in integrity. Here is your activation step. For one day, try to perform one small good deed in complete secret. Pay for the coffee of the person behind you and drive away before they know it. Put a stray shopping cart back in its place when no one is watching. Offer a piece of helpful advice online anonymously. Do one thing for the pure sake of doing it, with zero possibility of receiving credit or thanks. Experience the feeling of the action being its own complete reward. This is the beginning of detaching your self-worth from the applause of others and grounding it in your own virtuous character. We have learned to act for the right reasons. But what about all the things that happen to us that are outside our control? The bad luck, the misfortunes, the unfair twists of fate. Why do we live peacefully in a world that often seems random and cruel? The Emperor's next lesson is one of the hardest and most powerful to learn. Book 10. Imagine you ordered a specific meal at a restaurant, but the waiter brings you something completely different. You have a few options. You can get angry, yell at the waiter, and ruin your evening. You can sulk and resentfully pick at the food, letting it spoil your mood. Or you can look at the dish, accept that this is what has been served, and choose to enjoy it for what it is. Which response leads to a better evening? The answer is obvious. Now, what if you applied that same logic to every single event in your life? This is the challenge Marcus Aurelius lays down in Book 10. He advocates for a radical acceptance of what is a concept the Stoics called amor fatia, love of one's fate. This isn't passive resignation. It is an enthusiastic, cheerful embrace of reality as it is, not as you wish it were. He writes, "Whatever may happen to you, it was prepared for you from all eternity." The core idea is that you are a part of a larger whole, a vast, interconnected universe governed by logic and reason, which the Stoics called the logos. Everything that happens, whether it seems good or bad to you in the moment, is a necessary part of this cosmic tapestry. A thread cannot complain about its position in the design because the design is what gives it purpose. To fight against what happens is to fight against the universe itself. Battle you will always lose. He says, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the men with whom fate brings you to live, and do this with all your heart. This means accepting your circumstances, your body, your family, your challenges, not just tolerating them, but loving them as the specific, tailor-made material you have been given to work with. The sculptor does not complain about the block of marble he is given. He sees its potential and gets to work. Your life is your block of marble. Amor fati is the decision to love the stone you have been given. The real-world bridge is our constant war with reality. It shouldn't be raining today. I shouldn't have this much traffic. This project shouldn't be this difficult. Every should. And shouldn't is a little battle you are waging against what is. And every one of these battles is a source of stress, frustration, and unhappiness. Amor fati is the peace treaty. It's not saying you can't try to change things for the future. You should still take an umbrella, seek a better route, and work to solve the project's problems. But you do so from a place of acceptance, not resistance. You accept the reality of the rain, the traffic, the difficulty, and then you act. You work with reality, not against it. This simple shift conserves an incredible amount of mental and emotional energy. Here is your activation step. For the next 24 hours, your mantra will be, "This was meant to be." When something inconvenient or frustrating happens, instead of your usual internal complaint, I want you to say to yourself, "This was meant to be. What can I do with it?" A flight gets delayed. This was meant to be. I now have 2 unexpected hours to read. A client is difficult. This was meant to be. It is a perfect opportunity to practice my communication skills. Treat every event not as a problem, but as a deliberate assignment from the universe. Find the opportunity hidden within the fate you have been given. We are nearing the summit of our climb. We've gathered so many tools, so many new perspectives. Now it's time to consolidate them. To review the essential characteristics of a mind that has been fortified by these principles. Book 11. Imagine you've just completed an intensive training course. Before you graduate, the instructor gives you a final checklist, a summary of the core skills you must possess to be considered a master. This is what Book 11 feels like. It's a powerful, rapid-fire review of the essential qualities of a rational, Stoic soul. It's Marcus reminding himself of the person he is trying to become, reinforcing the key pillars of his entire philosophy. He lists the attributes of the rational soul as if he's checking his own internal dashboard. It sees itself. It shapes itself. It reaps its own fruit. Unlike a plant where others enjoy the fruit, the virtuous mind enjoys its own reward in every action. It achieves its own end. No matter when life is cut short, it is never left incomplete. It can survey the entire universe and the void around it. It loves its neighbors. It cherishes truth. It embodies modesty. This is a powerful consolidation of everything we have discussed. But one idea he returns to again and again in this book is the importance of having a set of principles ready to hand. He says you need these rules ready for immediate use, as a surgeon has his instruments. When a crisis hits, you don't have time to go back and read a philosophy book. The principles must be so deeply ingrained in your mind that they are an automatic response. He offers a brilliant technique for this. Suggests creating short, pithy definitions for the things that tempt or frighten you. What is fame? The clattering of tongues? What is luxury? A fancy bath, oil, sweat, dirt, greasy water? All things disgusting. What is death? A natural process and nothing to be feared. By stripping these things of their dramatic emotional language and reducing them to their objective physical reality, you rob them of their power over you. This is a form of cognitive jujitsu. The real-world bridge is about moving from intellectual understanding to embodied practice. You may have enjoyed listening to these ideas, you may have nodded along, but that is not enough. The goal is to make them a part of you, to have them ready on the tip of your mental tongue when you get cut off in traffic, when you receive bad news, when you feel the pull of procrastination. The key is preparation. You don't train for a marathon on the day of the race, you train for months beforehand. In the same way, you must train your mind during times of calm, so it is ready for times of chaos. Here is your activation step. It's time to create your own ready-to-hand principles. From everything we have discussed so far, choose the 3 ideas that resonated with you the most. It could be the obstacle is the way. It could be memento mori. It could be virtue is its own reward. I only control my response. Write these 3 principles down on a small card or in the Notes app on your phone. Put it somewhere you will see it every day. Your desk, your bathroom mirror. Your phone's lock screen, read them every morning. Read them before a difficult meeting. Make them the first thing your mind reaches for when faced with a challenge. You are stocking your mental surgeon's kit. We have our tools. We have our principles at hand. We have climbed the mountain and can see the world with new eyes. All that is left is to walk the path every single day until our final breath. The last book is a final, poignant meditation on how to live and how to die. Book 12. This is it, the final book. The last words in the Emperor's private journal. There is a sense of finality here, a sense of urgency. Marcus is an old man now. He has seen it all. He has fought wars, survived plagues, and buried loved ones. And he is still, to the very end, working on himself. He is still reminding himself of the principles he has spent a lifetime trying to master. Book 12 is not about new ideas. It is about consistency. It is about finishing the race well. He asks himself a piercing question. Have you ever seen a hand or a foot or a head cut off and lying by itself apart from the rest of the body? Such does a man make himself, who separates himself from others, or who does anything unsocial. His plea is for coherence, for integrity. To live a life where your thoughts, your words, and your actions are all one unified whole, working together for the common good. He offers 3 final, powerful reminders to himself, a trinity of thought to guide his final days. First, be content with your present state. Whatever is happening, accept it as your material. Second, be just in your present actions. Do the right thing, right now, for the good of others. Third, be grateful for your present circumstances. Have a benevolent disposition towards everything that exists. Contentment with your state, justice in your actions, and gratitude for your lot. That is the recipe for a good life, whether you have 50 years left or 5 minutes. There's a beautiful, calm confidence in these final passages. He has done the work, he has built his inner citadel, and he has practiced his principles. And now, as he faces the end, he is not afraid. He writes, "Pass then through this little space of time conformably to nature, and end your journey in content. Just as an olive falls when it is ripe, blessing nature who produced it, and thanking the tree on which it grew." What a stunning image! It's not to be ripped from life, but to fall gracefully when your time has come, full of gratitude for the experience. This is the ultimate goal of the Stoic path, not just to live well, but to die well, seeing it as the final, natural, necessary act in a life well lived. The real-world bridge is the final destination of this entire journey. It's about taking all these separate ideas and weaving them into a single, coherent philosophy for living. It's about becoming the kind of person who no longer needs constant reminders, because these principles have become your second nature. It's about living in such a way that you are always prepared to leave, not with fear or regret, but with peace and gratitude. This is our final activation step, and it is a commitment. Look back at the person you were when you started this video. The person who felt overwhelmed, reactive, anxious. Now look at the tools you have been given. The view from above, the inner citadel, the power of your ruling faculty. The obstacle is the way, Morphati. Your commitment is to choose one, just one of these ideas, and to dedicate yourself to practicing it consciously for the next 7 days. Don't try to do everything at once. Choose the one tool your soul needs most right now and use it. It is how a new operating system is installed. Not in one big download, but one small, consistent action at a time. We have walked a long road together. We have journeyed through the mind of an emperor and discovered not ancient history, but a timeless blueprint for strength, purpose, and peace. We began by acknowledging the sources of our character, our personal board of mentors. We confronted our own mortality and found in it a reason to live with urgency. We located the ruling commander of our mind and learned to direct its power. We built an inner fortress of calm, a sanctuary we can retreat to at any moment. We learned to find our motivation not in external rewards, but in the simple, profound act of doing our work as a human being. We learned to flow with the river of change, to use the obstacles in our path as the very fuel for our journey, and to treat the difficult people we meet not with anger, but with pity and understanding. We learned that virtue is its own reward, and that the greatest freedom is to act rightly without needing an audience. We learn to love our fate, to accept what is, and to work with the material life has given us. The core message of Meditations, the life-altering truth that echoes through every page, is this: you do not control the world around you. You do not control what other people do or say. You do not control the circumstances of your birth or the hour of your death. But you have absolute sovereign control over one thing: your mind, your judgments, your responses, your will. In this one small domain lies all the power you will ever need to live a life of meaning, of resilience, and of profound tranquility. This is the ultimate freedom. The world can rage, but it cannot touch your inner citadel unless you grant it permission. Today, you have been given the keys to that citadel. The choice now is a simple one. Will you remain a product of your circumstances, blown about by every external event? Or will you become the architect of your own soul, the calm, rational, and virtuous commander of your inner world? A choice between your old self and the new potential that lies within you. The journey doesn't end here. It begins. If this masterclass sparked a change in you, if one of these principles resonated deep in your soul, let us know in the comments which one it was. Your story is part of this community's strength. Subscribe to continue this journey of building a life of virtue and purpose, because your transformation is the only metric that truly matters. Now go and be a fortress.